Once upon a time, there lived a kind-hearted king in a peaceful kingdom. His people loved him dearly for his fairness and generosity. He had a wise minister whom he trusted deeply, and he often praised him for his quick thinking and wisdom. One afternoon, the king's favorite ring went missing from his chamber. The whole palace was buzzing with confusion. Servants searched every corner, but the ring was nowhere to be found. The king called his minister and said,
"My ring is missing. I fear it's been stolen. What should we do?"
The minister smiled and said,
"Let me handle this, Your Majesty."
He gathered all the palace workers and spoke in a calm but serious tone.
"Whoever took the ring will feel a strange heat in their hands soon. It won't be long now."
The workers looked at each other nervously, but one of them quickly hid his hand behind his back, his face pale with fear. The minister pointed at him and said,
"There is your thief, Your Majesty."
Amazed, the king asked,
"How did you know?"
The minister replied,
"I didn't need magic, sir. I just watched who got scared by my words."
The king laughed and praised the minister, saying,
"Your wit is truly unmatched."
As the queen's time to give birth got closer, everyone in the palace was excited. The king nervously waited for the news, pacing back and forth in his chamber. Suddenly, a servant rushed in, out of breath, and said,
"Your Majesty, it's a boy. Your son is born."
The king's face lit up, and he quickly went to the queen's room. He saw the queen resting with the baby in her arms. The king gently picked up his son, kissed him, and whispered,
"Welcome, my little prince."
There was a grand celebration in the kingdom. Everyone came to bless the child and congratulate the king. The minister came too. He looked at the infant in his cradle and said,
"Sir, your little son will be an even greater man than his father."
The king smiled but said,
"You are a flatterer. How can you say this simply by looking at him? I must test you on this."
The minister bowed and replied,
"Your Majesty, you can test me any time, and I will prove it to you."
That night, as the king sat alone in his chamber, he whispered to himself,
"How can I test the minister's wit? I need a clever challenge."
After thinking for a moment, he said,
"I will need the help of my courtiers. We can create a tricky challenge to see if he really is as wise as he claims.
With a smile, the king added,
We will set the test tomorrow.
The next morning, the king called for his courtiers to gather in the throne room. He said,
I need your help to test the minister's wit.
The courtiers began sharing ideas. One courtier suggested,
We can use 2 pots. One can be empty, and the other filled with sand. Let's see if the minister can tell which is which.
Another courtier added,
Or we could give him a riddle. Something tricky that he must solve quickly.
The king smiled.
Both ideas are great. Let's set up the pots and have a riddle ready as well. We will see how wise the minister really is.
The courtiers nodded and began to prepare for the challenge. The next day, 2 pots were tied and hung up at a door in the court. They were exactly alike and the same kind of cloth. And ropes were used for closing their mouths and tying them up. But there was a difference. One pot was empty while the other was full of sand. The minister was called after all the preparations were complete. The king and the courtiers assembled in the court. Many were certain that today the king's favorite would fail. They were feeling very pleased. The king told the minister,
You see these 2 pots. One is full of sand, and the other is empty. You have to identify which one has sand in it, just by looking at it.
The minister went up to the pots and looked at them carefully. He walked around them. It was a difficult problem to solve. He sighed loudly. The courtiers who were jealous of him looked at one another and smiled. They were sure that the minister was going to fail. After walking around the pots once more, the minister went up to the king and bowed.
So, have you identified the pot full of sand?
Asked the king.
Yes, sir. The one on the right is full of sand, and the other one is empty.
He replied. The pots were down and opened. The minister was absolutely right. The king and the courtiers were looked at him in amazement.
How did you guess that?
Asked the king.
Sir, the 2 pots were alike and so were the ropes. But one hung slightly lower than the other. I thought this must be because the weight of the sand dragged it down a little. So I went close to it and sighed loudly. The air blown by my sighing caused one of the pots to swing gently. So, I knew it must be empty. I told you the other one had sand in it. That's all, sir,
replied the minister. Moral: wisdom comes not only from knowledge, but also from careful observation and clever thinking.